Hello and welcome. Today we are going to go through how to install Git and VSC. First and foremost, we are going to check whether you have Git or VSC installed. Alright, so one way is for you to press Windows R if you're in Windows and open up the run command, and from there you type in cmd and you just press enter if you want, or you can press Ctrl Shift Enter. This will initiate administrative control, so just press yes and you should get your terminal. Alright, so from here you can just type in git and you'll see that it will say that git is not a recognized command, so you know that you don't have Git installed. So to know whether you have VSC or Visual Studio Code, you would have it somewhere in your start menu, or if you just search it up. By default, Windows shouldn't have it. Okay, also when you, if you have Linux or you have Mac, okay, I'm sure you wouldn't have it as well. Okay, Git is not installed by default in any operating system. So how do you go about installing Git or VSC? Simply just go open up your browser and just find git-scm for Git. You'll see this. Okay, just press on the download git-scm, the website, and just press downloads. Just choose your operating system. For me, I'm using Windows today. Let that download, and while that's downloading, I'm going to find Visual Studio Code. Now make sure you type in Visual Studio Code and not Visual Studio, okay, because Visual Studio is another editor altogether. All right, it's a little different from what Visual Studio Code is. All right, so make sure to use Visual Studio Code. Is the blue color icon. Okay, again, press on the download button, find which operating system you're in, and just click on it to download. Right, let that download. Now in the meantime, we have Git installed already. Downloaded already. So open up the file. And we'll start our installation. Now you can just follow through the default settings that they give you. Just press next all the way. I'm going to install my Git inside D drive. I don't have any space in my C drive anymore. So but a word of caution, I do recommend you installing inside your main drive, where your program files are installed, your OS is installed. So for mine is in C drive. All right, because there will be some issues later on when you start using VSC together with it. One of it, there's not a lot of issues with it, just one particular issue that I know about, which is it will have a hard time finding the Bash system if you wish to use it. Alright, so I'm just going to put this aside first, go through my D drive. Okay, so there, D drive Git. Then just follow, just install the default stuff that they've clicked on for you, selected for you, sorry. Okay, then just click next all the way, let that install. You can just unclick the view release notes. Alright, we're gonna install VS Code now. Alright, so you have this. Just do again, just click on the default. I'm going to change it into D drive again. It's my D drive. Okay, install my D drive, add path, install. Okay. Okay, so now that we have installed VSC and Git, we are going to see how we're gonna use VSC. So one way is to just open up your Visual Studio Code, right? Visual Studio Code, find it in your start terminal, and then it will just come up. Okay, because I've installed it in my D drive, is going to be populated with all my D drive folders. So you can, yeah, and you can see that I've already created a folder called VSC projects. Now, in order for us to access this folder, okay, there is a few ways you can do this. I can think of two. You can just open folder, okay, D drive, and you can just go VSC projects, select folder, and now you see that it is now in VSC projects. Okay, so now we're currently in VSC projects. Okay. Just now it was in my D drive, now it's in my VSC projects. Then from here we can either create a new file or we can create a new folder. Okay, for me, let's say I want to create a new folder because I don't want my projects to be populated inside my VSC projects. So I'm just create a new one and create a project folder called, sorry, today is 18 May 2021, and I say it's demo. Okay, so whenever you create project folders, it's advisable to name them as such. The start date of your project followed by the project name. Okay, so now I've created my demo folder. I'm going to do the same. Just open folder and just do this, right? And then just select folder and do this. Now it is possible for you to just go ahead and create a file here and say it's 18 May 2021 demo 2. Okay, you could just create the folder first here, open up your VSC and just open the folder from there. That's another way. Now what if what is the third way? Okay, so the third way is most likely is for you to use your terminal. Alright, just open up new terminal. Now this terminal, oh, it automatically detected my bash. Okay, so I have my bash here. Some of you won't have your bash. You will probably have either command prompt or you will have your PowerShell. But either way, this will still work. Okay, so I'm just going to work with command prompt just in case. Alright, this is for Windows users. Also, yeah, I'm just going to demonstrate for Windows first. Right, so what you can do is that now currently you're in the D drive in the VSC projects and 18 May 2021 demo folder. Now what if I want to move back out of this folder and go to the next folder? Alright, so in order for you to backtrack one folder up, okay, you can just go cd ... and it will just traverse upwards into the VSC projects folder. Now to check what I have inside, I can just type in dir. This is shortcut, this is the short form for directory, and I can see all the directories. So you now can see that I have two project folders, demo and demo 2. Okay, so in order for me to access inside a folder, I could just type in cd then followed by the project name. Okay, so this part is quite important. This is why most programmers, when they give a name to their project files or folders, they don't have any spaces because it will be troublesome. So they will either replace the space with underscore or dash. I've not tried this before, but you could type your project names as strings like that. Then I'm not too sure whether that will work. Okay, so I'm going to create a new directory. So for Windows, if you wish to create a new directory, you just mkdir followed by the name. So I'm going to try to see whether this works. Again, 18 May. So I'm going to leave a space but use the quotation marks as to capture it as a string. Okay, to see whether this will work. Oh, it does work. Alright, so now I have that. I will now try to access that particular folder. Okay, 18 May 21. Just 18 May 21 demo 3. Okay, so in order for you to go inside the folder is cd change directory and you just move inside. So now you're in 18 May 2021 demo 3. So as I said before, it's better that you name stuff with an underscore or dash and not with spaces. Okay, so now I've shown you how to actually create folders inside the integrated terminal. Now this thing can also be done with the terminal in Windows. So for example, if let's say I haven't opened up my VSC, I can open it up from the terminal. So if you want to be fancy, you can try to do so. I'm going to close this terminal because it hasn't refreshed. It will still assume that Git and VSC is not installed. You see that? So I'm going to close this and open up my terminal. Now this time around, I'm going to again I'm going to give it administrative rights. Okay. Okay, so it's Control Shift Enter after you type in the CMD. So first of all, I'm going to go to my D drive, which is just D and colon. And then I know I have a VSC projects folder, so I'm going to just type it in. Okay, and then from here I'm going to check my directories. I am going into maybe 18 May 21 demo folder. Alright, from here, how do we open VSC? Simply just type code space full stop. Okay, and then it'll just open up to the folder. Right, so that is the other way for you to open up your VS Code. Alright, okay, so those are the various ways you can open up your VSC. Okay, normally when you open up a VSC, right, VS Code, usually there will be some blue button here that says open folder. If you do not have that, then like me, don't worry. If you have it, you can just press open folder and just open your project folder from there. If not, you can just do what I did just now, file, open folder, and just find the folder you wish to open. You can also try to open up using the other two methods that uses the terminal. It's a bit more technical, but if you think you want to learn more about it, then you can try it yourself. Okay, so now we are going to configure your terminal. Now some people might have like I said, they might have either PowerShell or command prompt. They might not have Bash as their main terminal. It's not wrong to have not it is not wrong to have PowerShell or command prompt as your integrated terminal, but Bash, I just prefer Bash because it looks very colorful, and I've been I'm quite used to it lah. Okay? So if let's say you would like to have Bash and you're having trouble with it, okay, it's not being detected when you press the plus button here, don't worry, press Ctrl Shift P, oops, Ctrl Shift P, okay, and type in terminal, select default profile. Now if you don't have Bash in this list, okay, for me I have Bash here, it's already created for me here. Okay, what you can do is that you can press this gear button here, the settings, you type in Bash here. Okay, because I have Bash as a profile already, it says that I cannot have the same profile name, but if you don't have it, this will be fine. Just press enter, it will create a new profile name. Okay, once that is done, okay, you created the profile, you won't see any changes yet. Press Ctrl Shift P again and type in open settings JSON, not open default settings, open settings. So open settings JSON. Here, this one. You should be able to see something like this. Now, what you're looking at is are the profiles that you have. So PowerShell, command prompt, and Git Bash. Okay, so when you look at Bash, your path here might be a bit different. Okay, it might show it might show some command prompt or PowerShell path. Okay, so what you have to do is that you have to find your Bash path. For me, it's inside. Okay, so because Bash is downloaded together with the Git that you downloaded just now, so you should find the Git folder. Inside the bin folder, you see the Bash.exe file. So just go ahead and do that. So I'm gonna show you where exactly it is. So now currently I'm inside the Git folder that I downloaded just now. Alright, inside the bin you see there's a bash.exe file, so just put the path there. Okay, because it's inside my D drive, that's why it's D:. If you installed it in your C drive, program files, etc., then it should be C drive followed by program files, I can't remember what else, then git bin bash.exe. Alright, so once you've done that, you can also change things here. Alright, so here it says that default profile is Bash. So whenever I click on the plus button, Bash will come up. If let's say you want to leave it as command prompt, you can just put command prompt here. So let's say I put here command prompt. Okay, and I save, Ctrl S to save. Okay, you should see that when I press the plus button, you see that CMD comes up. If I press the Bash, if I put in Bash here, okay, and I press the plus button, Bash comes up. Right, so I would like my Bash to be the default, so I'll leave it to that. Alright, so how do we use this terminal? Just make sure it's in the terminal tab. Here you can have as many terminals as you want, but usually you just need one. Okay, what do you do if you have multiples here? Just press the rubbish bin button here and it will kill off the terminal. Alright, okay, so if you want to open up the terminal, you can either press new terminal or you can press Control Shift tilde, Control 3, backtick. Okay, so yep. Now that we have VSC installed and Git installed, the next thing that you should have is a GitHub account. So go ahead and type in github.com, right, and sign up for an account. Just press sign up. Okay, just fill in all the details and just create an account. All right, just a note, please make sure that when you create an account, it is it's a username that you can be proud of and something that is more formal, because this is going to be your coding portfolio. Okay, people are going to take a look at your codes from here, and if you wish to use this account for, to do showcase to future employers, it should look as professional as possible. So yeah, and also yeah, your email address and stuff like that should be something more formal. Okay, so for me myself, mine is just my name. Oops. Right. So the first thing that you will see is you should see this dashboard. Okay, so you won't see exactly like mine because I've been following people, so you see what they've been doing so far. Okay, on the left you see all your repositories. Okay, repositories are basically your project folders. Okay, so in order to make new project folders, you can either click on this green button here, or if you want to go the long way, you could just go to your repositories and just press it here. Right, so we're gonna try and do a new repository, okay, just to show you how this works. Right, so go ahead, create a new repository. Today is 18 May 2021 demo. Okay, so again you can see that I type with the name of my project and also the date first, so date and project, so make it as unique as possible. Okay, description you can leave it blank, keep it to public for now and ignore the rest, and just go ahead, create repository. Now you'll see a lot of these things here, but just focus on this part. Okay, so we're gonna go back to our VSC and we're gonna see how this works. Now, one important thing about pushing stuff to GitHub, okay, if there is nothing here and you you can initialize a local Git, but you won't be able to push anything to GitHub. Main reason is because it's empty, there's no files, nothing is there. Okay, even if you have a file but it's blank, it's not going to be able to push up to GitHub. It must have some content. It must also have some differences in the content. So for example, if let's say I created a file. Okay, I'm just going to create maybe index.html file. Okay, and it's empty. This way I won't be able to push it up to GitHub. If let's say I did say like we are here, okay, and I save, I push this guy up, and then I decided maybe I say there, then I go like no, here was fine. I won't be able to push this up as well because it looks exactly the same as what I have inside my GitHub. Okay, so if it's exactly the same, it's not going to be able to push it up because it doesn't detect any changes. it must detect some changes. So some changes you could do was maybe you change the word to there, or like you put a space there. Yeah, so still small changes it can still detect. If let's say you put some spaces and put some words there, it will still detect. But if you just put spaces just like that, I don't think it will detect any changes. Okay. Okay. All right. So that's enough of it. So now what we're gonna do is that we are going to link uh, VSC into your GitHub using Git. Okay, all of this I will explain it to you later, but just see how this works first. Okay, so first of all you have to do is you just follow these whole steps. I'm going to explain to you what these steps do. Okay, first of all, you see this echo la 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 readme.md. Notice that this is the same as your project name folder. Okay, so what this does is basically this echo is basically it is telling the program to write this whole chunk of words into a readme.md file. You can see that I don't have a readme.md file. Okay, so you can copy and paste this whole thing, or you can type. Okay, and you press enter. You will see that suddenly there's a readme file, and when you click on it, there is a chunk of word there. It's the same as this, right? Basically, when you learn more about readme files or like .md formats, this thing is basically will be like your HTML header 1. Okay, you will learn more later on. Okay, so next, okay, so now this will create a readme.md. So why is this here? So basically this assumes that your project folder was empty. There's not even an index.html file. Okay, so this allows some changes to be made, and then you can push this up to your GitHub. So if let's say you have created an index.html file with a basic template, you can ignore this step. You can just start from here. Alright, so this git init, basically git init, this is where it will start to initialize your git. Okay, your local git, not anything else here. Okay, you can see that it initialized an empty repository in here. Okay, you can see it's in your local file D drive for me. Okay, and from there just this git add readme.md. What this means is that this will load up readme.md for delivery to GitHub. Okay, but you can see that I also have an index.html, so I want both to be loaded into the system to be sent over to GitHub. So instead of typing just git add read readme.md, which will only focus on readme.md, I will press dot instead, a full stop, git add dot. Okay, so this means that when I type in git add dot, it will take in everything inside this 18 May 2021 demo folder. Okay, that means if I have any junk files here as well, it will take it in. It will assume that I want to load those to be pushed over to GitHub. So be careful when you do git add dot. Okay, make sure that you understand what is being pushed. Normally there won't be any junk files inside your projects if you're doing any basic project, so don't worry so much about it. So git add dot is safe for now. Right, so just ignore what it says here. LF will be replaced. This is just some notice that it tells you if there's an error, it will say an error. Okay, so now the next step, we've already git add dot, we're gonna type in git commit -m. This is basically labeling your so-called the packages you're gonna send over to GitHub. So yeah, so git commit -m, I'm gonna say initial commit. Okay. All right. So then I've already labeled it. Now at this point of time, some of you will have some notice. It will say that it will want to know your name and stuff like that. So let me just git config dash global. Okay, so you have these issues about like global configs and stuff like that. So don't worry so much. Just follow what it asks from you. So that is to just type in git config dash global. Okay, git config dash global and user name, then followed by your name and stuff like that. I might be wrong, but yeah, hold on. Okay, so yeah, so because mine I've already assigned my username and user email, so it didn't ask again. Okay, so for those of you who encounter this, just type in what they ask of you. Just type in git config global username, then followed by your name, and then the email, user.email, just type in your email. Now you could just give names and email that are bluffs. Okay, if you don't feel like you want to put your name and email, you can put some other stuff there. But for me personally, I just put my own formal name and email. Okay, yeah, don't worry about it. Okay, once you've done that, you need to run git commit -m initial commit again. Okay, so then it will give you this thing once everything is done. Now, whenever you type something, and like when you see when we type this just now, you see that there's no notification, no nothing. When it's just when it's just blank and just goes to the next line with this, right? It means that everything is fine. Okay, it means that they executed the code, but whether it's to your expectation or not, it's really a different matter altogether, because maybe you mistyped something or things like that, then but it still executes. You won't know. Okay, so I can't recall from the top of my head. Maybe some complex code that you type in, it still runs, but it didn't turn out the way you did. It will still won't have any notification or anything, because they accepted the code. Right? So things like git init, it will tell you what it has done. And like for git add dot, there will be warnings, and commits, they will show you some notifications. Sometimes when there's error, they will say error and stuff like that, so you have to read. Sometimes like after you type in git commit -m, like for those of you who encounter the git config stuff, there will be a lot of stuff to read. They're like git config it's not set, la 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 la, and stuff like that. So just make sure to read them properly. But overall, if you've done everything correct, they won't have much notification. They will just like go to the next line with a fresh terminal for you to key in stuff. Okay, so now enough of that. So we've already did this part. Okay, so we're not done yet. We still need to send those things that we have packeted over to GitHub. So next is that this command needs to run. So what this does is basically it will change the name of master to main. This is some GitHub initiative. All right, so just so now your master branch is now called main branch. Okay, so that's the renaming. And then this is the part where it will link your local VSC into GitHub. Okay, so just press that. right? So this will link. You see that again, there's no notification or nothing, means it recognized the command and it has executed it properly. So then the last one that we need to run is git push to origin main. Okay, so do that, and you'll see that it says this, and yeah, it just tells us what he has done so far and doesn't say any error or any warnings. Looks to be good. All right, so how do we know if we have already done this correctly? Is that when you go to here, your repository, when you refresh, you see that now the command terminals they're not there anymore. Okay, the command terminals the terminal commands are no longer there. Instead, you have all this here. Yeah. Okay, the next thing is alright. How you can check from the terminal is just type git log, and you see that it has already committed for you. Yeah, and you see the naming here, initial commit. Okay, so next, we're going to, okay, so we've already made changes to, we've already pushed our first commit into our repository here. Okay, so I'm going to show you a few things you can do with VSC. Alright, so first and foremost, the most basic thing, when you create an index.html file, because VSC recognizes the .html extension, it will immediately format this editor to run only HTML codes. So when I press shift and exclamation mark here, okay, you'll see there's these two things here, okay, exclamation marks. Okay, just go ahead and press the first one. You'll see that immediately you will have a HTML template written out for you. So this is one of the things that VS Code has. Okay, so again, let me just demonstrate. What's this one? Okay, so yeah, press the first one. Okay, this is called an Emmet abbreviation, right? Okay, also make sure to save your files always and often. You'll see that there's this white dot above here. That means you have not saved your file. So Control S, it will save. So on my other computer, what I do is that I will reassign save all to be Control S. Okay, so instead of me having to press all my tabs, I can just save all and make sure that all my tabs are saved. Right, okay, so now I've made changes to this. If let's say I want to commit my changes to GitHub, I don't have to do the whole steps again, okay, because I've already linked this local Git into my GitHub. I just have to do only a few stuff. First of all is to git add dot, or I can just git add index.html if I just want index.html. Okay, but for me, I prefer to just git add dot. Okay, so these are the three commands that you will have to run every time after you've already initialized your GitHub the first time around that we've just done it just now. Okay, these are the three steps you just need to do every time you want to push to GitHub from now on. Okay, just the first one is to git add dot, and then git commit -m, and you can just type in second commit or some meaningful messages. So at this point of time, I'm going to show you how to there's another way for you to write your commit message, which is multi-line messages. So instead of typing git commit -m and then followed by the word, I'm going to just git commit, okay, and it will open up this vim, okay, this vim terminal. Okay, now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna type in the header first. So made changes to index.html, index.html has HTML template, for example. Okay, so we're gonna put it here. All right, so once this is done, I'm just gonna press colon and what's it? Colon QW. What's it? Save. Colon. Okay, so after you've typed, just press escape, then press colon QW, press enter. QW means quit and I can't remember, but you quit and save basically. Not an editor command. That's weird. Let me just go ahead and type in vim commands. Okay, so I don't recall it being this difficult. Or WQ, sorry, it's not QW. Okay, escape, WQ. Alright, there we go. So we've already committed. So yeah, so Vim is another editor that people use as well. So you can take a look at it. So you can use the git commit to open up Vim to type in your commit messages. You can learn more about Vim, or I'm not sure, but I think you can change other than Vim. You can also use other editors to just edit multi-line comments. Okay, so now we've already git add dot, we git commit. The next part is just git push. Okay, so these are the three things only. There we go, and done. Alright, so you can just git log to make sure. Now you have the multi-line comments. Okay, so that's how you do it. Okay, so after the initial commit, you don't have to type in the whole load of things anymore. It's just git add dot, git commit -m followed by your commit messages, and then git push. That's all. Okay. So these are the three things: add dot, git commit, git push. That's all. Okay. So if you don't want to use multi-line comments, that's fine. You can just describe in one line what are the changes that you've made so far. Okay, but for me, I try my best to have multi-line comments more, because there you can explain to people what exactly have you made, what changes you have made, and what exactly they are and what they do. But if let's say of course that was a negative demonstration, you don't really need multi-line comments to tell people that you have added HTML template to index.html. That could be a one-liner. Okay, all right, so yeah, that's about it for Git and GitHub. Okay, so why use GitHub, Git VSC, whatever. Okay, so what exactly are they? Okay, so VSC, or Visual Studio Code, is basically an editor, or to the fancy word is IDE, Integrated Development Environment. Basically, it's a code editor, right? So VSC is a code editor. GitHub is a code hosting platform, okay, for version controlling and also for your collaboration. And it uses Git as its version control system. Okay, there are other hosting platforms that you can use as well, but GitHub seems to be a popular option for most. So there are things like Bitbucket, GitLab, or SourceForge that you can go to as well to host your codes. All right, and also Git basically is a version control system. Okay, there are others out there, but Git is the most known system version control system. Okay, there are like those the enterprise softwares as well. I think things like Oracle also has their own version control system and stuff like that. Okay, so whenever people ask, like, out there, do you know how to use version control systems? Just say, yeah, I use Git. Okay, Git is a form of version control system. Okay, so for VSC, the IDE, integrated development environment or editor. Okay, VSC is one of the many editors out there. There are other things like Sublime Text, Item, Notepad++, and Eclipse. Those are the things that's just on top of my head right now. Okay, so what exactly are all these? How are they all these? How are they linked? Okay, so I'm gonna show you what is. I'm going to explain to you more what they are. Right. So just give me a while. Okay, so what exactly are all these things? So basically, right, what you have is an IDE. IDE. This is horrible. Let me just erase this. IDE. Okay, then your IDE is your VSC. Basically, we're using VSC now. Visual Studio Code. Then we have Git, which is your version control system. And then you have your GitHub. Okay, so basically when you do things with your IDE, it is stored locally. Okay, it's stored locally. Okay, and then when you push it up to GitHub, you can see that's basically it's on a server basically, right? So it will host. Okay, so it's on in the internet. Okay, in the internet. Now, Git helps you to push your IDE, all your codes, okay, over to the internet where GitHub is. All right, so that's what it does, and it also can pull stuff from GitHub back to your local system. Okay, so basically that's what Git is. Okay, so if you think about it, to put it in an analogy, you can think Git as the librarian. GitHub is her library, and you are the the author, VSC. Okay, you're using VSC to type in your books. Okay, so whenever you create a new book, you go over to the librarian and you tell her, hey, please make a copy and store it inside your library. So that's what she's going to do. She's going to make a copy and then she's going to keep it inside her shelf. Okay, and then whenever you add in more stories, add in more content to that same book, you go over to her, hey, I've updated my book, could you make a copy? She'll say sure. She'll make a second copy and she will shelf at where the first book was. So now you have that version 1 of your book, and now you have that version 2 of your book in her library. Now you could also create a new book and you tell her, hey, this is a new book, and she's going to copy that book and put it in another shelf for that particular book. Now, what happens if, let's say, hey, I lost my book? You can go over to the librarian and you tell her, hey, could you retrieve back this book of mine, the latest version, of course, so that I can have a copy of it. I've lost it somewhere. She'll say sure. She'll take the latest version of that book, make a copy, and pass it to you. So that's what Git does for you. Okay? And yes, you can actually pull codes out from GitHub. Alright, so it means that basically if you have multiple computers, you can actually pull out codes from all the computers. So computer A, B, C, all can have the same code pulled from GitHub. Okay, yeah. So basically, yes, if let's say you're working remotely, and maybe you go overseas, you never bring your laptop, people wants you to check on the code, it is possible to actually just pull the code from GitHub. Yeah, but is it safe? That's another question to ask yourself. Okay, also there's other factors to look into, whether the administrator allows you to install stuff and download stuff. That's a question you have to ask as well. Right? Okay, so okay, one last thing is that, okay, so I talk about versions and stuff like that. So how do we know, what do you mean by versions? So if you take a look at your repository, you see that there's these two commits here, and you click on this, you will see that we have two commits and there is numbers here. You could say that these are the version numbers that you have so far, the number of commits that you have. All right. I mean, technically, they're not versions of your, of your software or whatever it is, but yeah, they keep track of um, which part, at what level is your code at. So whenever you pull your code from your repository, they always take the highest level, the most recent one. They'll just pull it out. Yeah, so you can see that, yeah, there is versioning involved lah. So you can also take a look at what are the differences that has been made. So you can see initially on my left part, okay, because I put it to split mode, you can see that the left part was initial, the right part was what was added on to. You can see all this plus and green color stuff means that it has been added on to. You can even look into unified and you can see, yeah, what are the differences and stuff like that. But usually, yeah, I prefer to put it to split so I can see the differences left and right. Okay, so to go back, just press to code and then you'll be here. Now if you don't want to see the difference and stuff like that, you just want to see the main code, you can just press here. You can see the main code here. There won't be any plus or minus here. You can even press raw and just copy the whole code and just paste. Also possible. You can even like edit and stuff like that, but I don't recommend you doing that. Well, that's all from me. I hope you've learned something about GitHub and Git and VSC as I explained. If you don't, you can always ask me and I'll see if I can answer your questions. All right. Okay. Thank you and have a good rest.